Facebook is up and running.
Nice.
And we
Episode
should
18,
have our
man. I can't believe
people
it.
on YouTube up and running as well. We are good to go.
Nice. All right, let's see. So we just give it a few seconds if there's anyone else joining. And once again, for those who are watching and don't know what our platform is exactly, what we do is discuss multiple, topics of life, things that we go through, things that we've gone through, situations that we've been in, that we've put ourselves in, just in general. Um, because again, the more we discuss these topics, the more we can actually relate, the more people, how many people need this type of information? Sometimes people think that, they're the only ones going through it, and we're here to just let you guys know you're not alone. You're not alone in the battle that we're in of life. Life is beautiful, but the obstacles that do present itself can make it hard for us. We're here to make sure that not only the adults, but also the youth to just keep pushing. Just to me, it's like I say every week. This platform, our platform, is basically an injection of motivation, inspiration, to keep pushing, to keep going, and don't let nothing, no one stop you from whatever it is that you want to accomplish.
Absolutely.
Anything is possible in this world. Sometimes there may be people going. We all go through hardships. Some people may go through financial hardship, others emotional, mental, and sometimes it can be a mix of everything. And it's only fair, man, to like be transparent. What we do is we put our experience out, having no shame in what has taken place in our lives, and just basically putting it in the platform to give it to others, so like that they know how to handle whatever obstacle comes across. They'll know, oh, even though I haven't been through this situation, but I remember when Jay Mejia and Pastor Carlos, they were talking about it the other day. Let me handle it differently. And for those who go through hardship, um, again, we all do. We're open to receive um, DMs, messages,
Yep.
because we know when the enemy wants to attack. We know when it's usually the time that you get those dark moments. When you get those dark moments, it's a horrible situation to be in. It's the devil's playground. So what better than to have someone that you can talk to, or if you have any type of question that you can just simply ask a question and get a response, so you can get some clarity. Because sometimes those dark moments do make us blind. And what happens when you go through these dark moments? You're losing sleep, you know, and you got to be very careful when you step into that phase.
Yep.
Extremely careful. See, yeah, Shandong is showing love. Otto, what's going on? Checkto, what's going on, man? It's good to have you.
What's good,
Everyone
Otto?
who's joining us and engaging, we really appreciate you all, man. It does really mean a lot, the fact that you take the time to join us every Thursday, for those who can join us. And again, for those who can't join us every Thursday, or they can't join us on time, we have our videos on YouTube.
Right.
Shortly after. So, I also encourage anyone that wants to get on the live, if there's anything that they want to say, anything that they want to chime in on, if they want to put a testimony out there, if they just want to talk, remember your story
Door's always
could be
open.
always open. It can be helpful for someone else. It can be super, even for us. You know what I mean? Even for us, because we really appreciate the engagement. We really encourage that, and also if you can promote our videos, just by taking a clip. I believe there's an option down in the bottom of the screen where you can actually share the live to have other people join if you feel that they need to hear a good message today. We usually, um, we try our best to never miss a week, no matter what takes place. We're here not getting paid for this. We're building a platform straight from scratch. Obviously, we're trying to grow it into something big, and we will. And we're in the process of it. We're coming up with a title. Not that the title's hard, but we haven't received the title, the name of the title.
Exactly. We don't want to come up with something just out of ourselves. It's
Yeah,
it's God that is going to do it. I
Hmm.
see El Blue, Leslie, how to share on Facebook. Actually, real simple. Um, if you are on my account, or if you're linked to my account, which I know you are, just hit share. Just go ahead and hit share. It is made public. Anybody can see it. I know typically on Facebook, I try to keep my account somewhat private, just to
Amen.
friends or people I know, for a number of different reasons. But the lives that we do, they're always set to be public. So all you have to do is hit share. Anybody can see it. You can share with anybody.
Así, chacho, o sea, Chandón, amén, con todo lo que dijiste ahí, Dios es grande, el mundo necesita amor, 100%. Ustedes están haciendo un buen trabajo. Chandón, thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you. God is great. God is great. If you guys didn't know, not all heroes wear capes.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Amen.
And I mean,
Amen.
with some of the stuff that you were saying, I mean, just looking at this week that we've had, like this last week, what you kind of see in the news and stuff like that, all the different things that have
Yeah.
been going on, a number of different levels. Uh, what we're talking about here, it becomes more and more real. It's much needed. I know that it's stuff that people go through on a daily,
Mm-hmm.
but definitely what you see out there on the world is not helping. This week, I don't think has been an easy week to see what's been shared on social media. Uh, People making fun of other people, and I mean, it's a
Yeah.
whole vibe, bro. It's a whole vibe.
We're talking about the awards, right?
Was that where you were gonna go with it?
Nah. As soon as you brought it up, I'm like, man, like that's something good to discuss, anywhere in our conversation today. But I like the fact that you brought that up. I like the fact that you brought that up because I do have something to say about it, and
Where's your
nothing
head
bad,
at
just
with
to
that?
keep it neutral.
Yeah, where's your head
So
at?
I feel like nobody's perfect, man. No one's perfect. We don't know what anyone is going through. So even though the act was wrong, right? The act was wrong. Um, but what led him to react in that form, right? Not saying that it was right, not saying that it was right at all, but it's like it comes to show Will Smith, who's iconic, and even Chris Rock, but everyone saw it. It was like a special night. Who didn't see that? And not only that night, but now what's going viral is all the videos plus all the editing that they're doing on the videos. So they become viral. Everyone now, it's like what we're saying about our platform, right? We need more of what we discuss, right? Because it does impact others. What do you think is going to do for people who are watching the video with Will Smith smacking Chris Rock? Damn, it's okay to smack someone. For some people are going to think it's okay, right? Because he did it. No one's perfect. All right, let me go ahead and do it myself. But what I have to say personally about that is this: is that I know that in the past few years he's been going through a lot of issues in his marriage. We don't know what he's going through mentally aside from that, or if that's like the major cause of whatever he's been experiencing. But it's like build up, right? And I feel like that's why he reacted that way.
Right.
Was it right? To me, I would say no, it wasn't right. But we can't judge him because he is human, right? I haven't even followed up if he apologized eventually. I know he did give a speech.
He did. Yeah, he
He
did.
did give a speech, but was it like a full apology or was he trying to justify what happened in that moment?
Both. It was both.
Okay,
Um,
because
to
I
be
want to make
honest
sure I
with
didn't miss
you,
anything.
yeah, to be honest with you, I think that what you call it, I think there you actually have a few different issues, to be honest with you. Absolutely, I'm with you on the fact that you don't do what he did. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care what it is. That's not, that's something that everybody needs to know to compose themselves, because at the end of the day, nobody looks good with what happened. I don't care how you slice it. Nobody looks good with what happened. First and foremost. Second, the very word itself tells you that the world, and even even the way that things were put together before, It was a thing of like, you know, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, whatever, you
Hmm.
know. Um, but Christ came to change that, and it's funny because his exact words were, "If someone slaps you on the right cheek, offer the other cheek also." That's the words of Christ. You know what I'm saying? So fitting for the situation. Out of all the words that Jesus could have said, it was like, you know, slap. You know, if they slap you on the right, turn the left. You know, give them the left. But that's not just a physical thing. That's also a verbal thing. And there, I
Hmm.
think it's very interesting because when we go into it, it's a thing of, um, you know, they were just words that led to that. But at the same time, this is where there's something that was very key, that Will Smith had said, which shows you where things are at. You know, we talk about having this platform to build people up, right? Having this platform to go and build people up. So, you know, as you go through the struggles, whether it's what you see on here, what you receive on here, going and dropping a DM to connect, and receive that prayer in that time of difficulty, like you said, those different things. It could very easily become the devil's playground, and it becomes an issue, right? You leave yourself open and susceptible to it, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's so important. And that's why something that he said was so key to me, and I didn't catch it in the moment. I actually caught it later when I started to kind of analyze it and play it back. And it was something that he said where he was like, you know, we got to take these jokes, like in this industry, we got to be used to these jokes,
I saw that.
we got to be
Yeah.
used to this, we got to be used to that, they got to be, it's like you got to be used to taking all this stuff in, and it's like, and it piles on. You know what I'm saying? The kind of the way that he relayed it was like, we have to take it on and take it on and take it on and take it on, and people will talk and people will make fun and people will do this and people will do that. There's like all this and all these, you know, quote unquote injustices, and we take it on, we take it on, we take it on, we take it on, and it's like, nah, this was a point in which I wasn't going to take it on anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But this goes to the whole thing of the world, and we've talked about it before, even on social media. Most people in this world are not looking to go truly build someone up. And one of the examples that we've given before is like, oh my gosh, you know, I want the best for you. Like I could easily be somebody that you know and be like, oh my gosh, yo, Joaquin, I want the best for you. I want this, I want that, whatever. And then you go and you open a business, and instead of supporting you, what I'll do is I'll go talk about you.
Hmm.
And I'll go talk about why this isn't going to work, why you crazy, why you doing this, why you doing that. Like instead of building you up, the moment, like everybody wants to be all nice when somebody's down at the bottom. Like for example, all these jokes and all these things that he's talking about, when you're up and coming in anything, I'm talking about in any area of your life. I'm not talking about just celebrity. I'm talking about
Yeah.
when you're up and coming. As long as you're down here, oh, there's the love, there's the support, there's this, there's that. But the more you ascend, especially in the blessings that God has given you, in the walk that God wants for you, when you walk in the blessing, when you walk in the purpose, and you're trying to be the you know, walk the right way and
Hmm.
everything, you know, not listen to the comments, not get into the violence, not talk back, not gossip back, not insult people, not do all these things that I'm not saying that you know, that you don't have a reason to do it, but that you choose not to do it.
Yeah.
What happens as you elevate, right? More and more people start, or you know, stop supporting you. It's like the higher you go, the less support you have, which is interesting because you would think, how is it that I have a lot of support down here, but as I move up, I have less support and less love? And instead, it's like I have support here and love, but as I go up, less support, more hatred, less support, more hatred, less support,
Yeah.
more hatred, less
And
support.
there's more
It
people waiting for you to slip.
exactly, you know, exactly. And it was something that was so key, was something that Denzel said, and I think it's so
Yes.
opportune,
Yes.
where he was like, you need to watch yourself because the devil's waiting for you to have that moment to bring you down in that moment. It's like, you know, it's something alluding to that fact. And I want you to think about that. Like we've been talking about it, especially here recently. What's happened when we weren't walking in the purpose that God had for us. No problems, nobody's talking, everything looks good. You know, you getting by, but nobody's talking. You don't have these issues. You don't have these
Mm-hmm.
problems. Everything. But the moment that you start walking in purpose, and that purpose doesn't always mean that you're immediately successful, but you're choosing to walk in his purpose. Sometimes it can have immediate success. Sometimes it could just be you living right. All these different things. All of a sudden, all the problems come. It's like the devil wants to knock you down. And if you start elevating, the higher you go, he wants to knock you down harder because somebody mentioned something good. People want to, what you call it? I can't remember where I heard it, but somebody has said everybody loves a rising star, but they love a falling star even more. Like
Mm-hmm.
they want to, they dying to catch you slipping. They're dying
Yep.
to catch you on the way down. But when you think about it, why is that? Actually, I remember where I heard it now. It was I was watching a documentary about Hillsong Church, and they mentioned, I don't know if you remember, there was the pastor essentially for a lot of celebrities like Justin Bieber, Drake, Kevin Durant, all these people, Carl
Yeah.
Lentz.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was building up, and he ascended so high that everybody was talking about him. Everybody knew who he was. Even if they didn't know his name, they knew, yo, this dude's hanging with all these celebrities, and that's the pastor and all this other stuff. And what did they love more than him ascending? The moment that he slipped up and they caught him cheating on his wife and living wrong, it was like, yo, people love that. They loved tearing him down. The same way they loved having him go up, they enjoyed even more tearing him down. But you got to think, why would you enjoy that? Where would
Mm-hmm.
your enjoyment come in somebody else's destruction? Your enjoyment, I could tell you this, your enjoyment doesn't come because God gave you that feeling of joy. That's not where that comes from.
Yeah.
And flipping it from that pastor into Will Smith, those memes and the jokes, I mean, we all laugh. It's funny, right? But in reality, why are you enjoying the downfall of somebody else? You don't find something incredibly wrong with that. It's
Yeah.
like when the shoe's on the other foot, we don't like it. Like if, for example, if that was us, we wouldn't want people talking. We
I
would
was
want
just
people defending.
I was just gonna mention how people have to think about those situations, and you have to put yourself in their shoes. You really have to think hard about it. You know, man, would I really want people to laugh at me? Would I really want people to, speak about me in this way? Um, After that experience, once you do that, you start looking at every other situation differently, because it's like, you know what? We're human. We make mistakes. Man, I wouldn't want to be Will in that situation, or I wouldn't want to be Chris Rock. I know there's a lot of people criticizing, like, oh, if I was Chris Rock, I would have done this. I feel like Chris Rock did the right thing, right? Now let me say something. In the hood, it's not the right thing, right? Because there's a lot of people that like, oh, you crazy? Somebody smacks me, I'm smacking right back, which may be true, but you don't know what your reaction is going to be right that moment. Who had more to lose in that situation right there? Will or Chris Rock? The person who overreacted, Will Smith, right? Now, I wanted to give my opinion on this as well. Chris Rock as a comedian. You tell me what you think about this, and everyone else, if they want to agree, just drop a hand in the chat. When you go to a comedy show, I feel like the second you purchase a ticket, right? Even though I understand this wasn't a comedy show, but you have a comedian presenting, it's like it should click immediately, man.
It's a license. It's an
Someone,
automatic license.
you're basically signing off like it's anything goes. It's their platform from there on. If you don't like something, just don't overreact. Just you know, giggle, and if you don't giggle, just stay serious. I'm sure the person's gonna stop, right? But it's open for the comedian to say and do what they want. It's not like they're gonna get physical. They're not gonna go over, and just like slap you up or touch you or whatever. Or they're just gonna make jokes. It's what they do. So I feel like they should have known that. You know, they should have
Absolutely.
known
But
that.
but that's where you get into the weight of, I think in a normal circumstance, a person would not have overreacted to it. But it goes back to something that you were alluding to. And it's something that I want people to think about because a lot of times you know, when people have their breaking point, nobody, you know, everybody wants to criticize, but nobody looks at the entire
Yeah.
situation. And it's
Hmm.
something for you to really analyze. So your daughter is out there with the whole polyamorous thing, right? Meaning to get with whoever and trying to make that like that's okay. And there's people that, I mean, that's an own, your own situation. That's a difficult one as a
Yeah.
parent, I'm sure, to be hearing that. Your son, for you know, you've heard all kinds of different things from the fact that you know he puts on skirts and dresses and all that stuff. Which you got to think. I mean, if you are a minority, if you from the hood, and you know, if you see your son putting on a dress or a skirt, I mean, come on, like you know, people are gonna clown on you. You know, you're gonna hear it, right?
Hmm.
The fact that you know that there's been the rumors that his own son has brought up in terms of you know, making the claims that like, you know, oh, I'm in a relationship with this dude. You know what I'm saying? Like whether it's joking or not, you look at the whole thing and it's like, so my daughter's polyamorous, right? My son dress, you know, every now and then tries to dress kind of, you know, girlish and claims he's gay, which both of those things, I mean, you can get clowned on. My wife has cheated on me, and not only cheated on me, but she didn't keep it on the low. She made it a public forum, which again,
Building up, just
you
building
know,
up.
exactly. So you think, man, my, you know, I want any, especially anybody that's got kids that are like teenagers or you pass that. I mean, when you feel that your child is going the wrong direction, that's a stress in and of itself because you have that worry for your child, right? And the things that they're going through and where they're going to go and the things that you hear. I mean, that's a stress. And then you got another child with similar stress times two. And then a lot of times when you've got infidelity in a marriage, you don't want nobody to know because that is an embarrassing thing. That's not something that anybody wants to share because if you were the victim of it, right?
Hmm.
Do you want anybody to know? Heck no, that's embarrassing. Most people are like, I don't want nobody to know. That's an embarrassment. What does it say about me? You don't even care about the other person. You care about how does that make me look? Especially as a dude. I look weak. People are gonna call me soft. People are gonna call me this. People are gonna call me that. Now, if you're gonna have the people that if you stick around are gonna that dude's a chump. You know what a clown. He's soft. He's this. So you hearing that. Meanwhile, your wife got no problem sharing all the details. I mean, bruh, it's one thing to say, hey, this is what happened. Like, I've seen, how many pastors have I not seen that will be like, I cheated on my wife, please respect our privacy, blah, 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 blah. Or, you know, you have cheating in a relationship, in a normal relationship, non-celebrity relationship, and you go you know, if your family finds out or whatever, some people don't even want to have nobody find out, and they're se la están tragando on the in the back end. They're just keeping it hush. But a lot of times they'll just tell the family, "Yo, we had this problem, whatever. I don't really want to talk about it. Let me just keep it on the low. I don't, you know, please respect our privacy," kind of deal. But you got somebody like this who's like, not only am I going to tell the world that I did that, but on top of that, I'm going to give them the details of what happened. I'm going to tell them that you knew. I'm going to tell them that you stuck around. I'm going to tell them this. I'm going to tell you look like a chump according to the world. That's not an easy thing to be taking in. Bro,
Yeah.
you got to think the comments that have happened for the last year, that's a lot to take in.
It's been more than a year. More than a year.
You see what I'm saying?
And
So
even then it's a lot.
so it's like it's building, it's building, it's building, it's building, it's building, it's building. All these different things, they build on top of each other. They build on top of each other. That's a lot for a person to deal with. So just imagine, again, not explaining or excusing anything,
No,
just giving a
no, just keeping
hypothetical
it neutral,
situation.
neutral.
Exactly. Think about what this kind of person has gone through. Most of y'all, if you have an issue with the kid, and I tell you this because I hear it all the time as a youth pastor, if a parent feels that a child's having an issue, bro, that parent is stressed, like mega stressed. You got parents that ain't sleeping right, ain't eating right. They're arguing with the kid. They're going through all that stuff. That's a lot to deal with. And when you times two, even worse. Marital issues, that's bad enough. Having it come public, that's even worse. So you compound. There gets to be a breaking point for a person. Not necessarily that
Big
was the
time.
case, but who's caring about his mental health? Because I mean, that's not a normal person kind of thing. Somebody that's got their head on a swivel, knowing what's going on, aware. Because obviously he was very aware of, you know, of the repercussions,
I was
right?
just gonna mention that he. That's the beautiful thing, that he was aware when you listen to his speech, and then him dropping those tears. Those aren't fake tears. You know, he's going through it.
Yeah.
He's going
So,
through it.
but instead of making all the million and one memes, I'm not lying. I laugh. Some of them are funny. I mean, you can't help but laugh. You know what I'm saying? But imagine, to compound all that, after so many years of people clowning on you, right? Your mental health takes a toll. You can't lie about it. Your mental health takes a toll.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're going to be here in public on a night that should be hopefully about a celebration of an achievement, and you got to have somebody clowning on your wife who has a what you call it, clowning on your wife who has a disease, essentially. You know, a disease. I mean, mainly cosmetic, but it's a disease. I'm sure that's not a thing of like, oh, it's this person did me wrong, because apparently they have a good relationship. Him and Chris Rock have had a good relationship. But it's a thing of like, yo, more public stuff for real, more clowning us in public. And it gets to be a breaking point. Again, not explaining nor excusing it, giving a
No, no, of
hypothetical,
course.
because to that same degree, I could also agree with something that the Checkto said. It could have been staged, it could have been this, it could have been that. Absolutely. You got to think. The Oscars, nobody been watching it. Think about that for a second.
I didn't think about that.
It gives credence to the opportunity that, hey, people will pay attention by searching us on YouTube and stuff like that. Chris Rock starting a tour this week. I mean, ticket sales increased. You know what I'm saying? Ticket sales increased. And then you got Jada talking about, oh, we're probably going to talk about the incident on my Red Table show. Come on, bro.
Yeah,
More views.
you know what? Cross
You see,
promotion. That's
you
cross
see what I'm
promotion
saying?
right there.
So you have to
Yeah.
be very careful, but it does not take away from the fact of one very real thing. Mental health issues are real. You have to look at the possibility that if this was not a cross promotional thing, which believe me, if it's cross promotional, one day it's gonna slip.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the things that are not meant for good, God brings to the light at some point. So it will come to light if it was for that, you know, for fake promotional purposes, right? But in the event that it was not, we've been clowning, we've been laughing, we've been seeing the memes, we've been hitting the likes on the memes. A lot of people, we've been sharing it, we've been DMing people the meme. Yo, let me put you on. All that stuff is beautiful. But think about, if it happens to have been real, where is the mental health of that person at? And believe me, if that is a real thing, and it took all these last 2 or 3 years of stuff, you know, getting on top of you to finally get you to that breaking point, how have you got to feel seeing that the world is making all your memes viral? I'm sure that's not helping your mental health, if it's real. So this goes back to what we're talking about.
And whether, and like you said, I agree. And again, for everyone who's watching, these are all neutral. It's our opinion. You know, it's all neutral. We're not saying or justifying what Will did. What I want to say is, whether it was real or fake, it does still influence others who are watching, all the way from the young to the adults to the old. It does influence, right? Because it is an act. It's what we try to avoid in schools. It's what we try to avoid in the workplace, in homes, to promote that type of violence. Especially, like you said, maybe they did it because, you know, who's watching the awards nowadays? Another thing as well is, I didn't even think about that, the whole cross promoting. Chris Rock is having a tour. I didn't even know that, because again, I haven't been on the
I
news.
didn't know that either until like yesterday, that they were like, oh, his ticket sales have increased, like they've gone through the roof ever since the incident. And I'm like, bro, I didn't even realize homie had a tour.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
come on.
when you said that, I'm like, it all makes sense. You know, again, whether it's real or fake, look at what it takes for someone to get that extra push, to get to that level of success. Chris Rock has always been successful, but he has been disconnected for a while. So now he's relevant, right? Now, oh wow, that's the guy that got. For those who don't know Chris Rock, they know him as that's the guy that got smacked by Will Smith, right? So again, ticket sales go up because of that. So yeah.
I got
So
a comment I'm seeing here. Check toe. Look, if slapping me anywhere, any place will bring
I'm
anyone
getting
more
real,
money, more
I'm
views,
real
please feel
I'm real
free.
entertained. I'm real entertained with check those comments, man. Like I'm holding my laughing.
I
Uh
hear you. I hear you. But again, it goes back to what you said. The thing
please,
is, let's
please
let's
feel
let's
free.
call it what it is at the same time. For let's call it what it is. Is it surprising? I want you to think about that for a second. Is it surprising with the things that you have people doing to get attention on social media in the hopes, not even the guarantee, the hopes of going viral,
I love
to
Otto. I love him.
becoming relevant for a day, literally. Because most of the time, if you go viral, I mean, you got to go mega viral to go where people are going to remember your stuff and still share it like
That's a
for
thing
weeks.
nowadays. That's a thing nowadays.
Exactly. You got people that literally every day try to do dumb stuff and will spend the next 5 years doing dumb stuff every single day, and will and it'll be stuff like this. For what? In the hopes that they will get to be viral. Come on, man. That's the society that we're in right now. But you know what? You know why it happens is because when something like this happens, it gets all the attention. So it's like, let me emulate. Nobody's original. Nobody's original. You want to see how nobody's original? Go do a dance on TikTok. Put one song on TikTok. Put one song on TikTok.
Yeah.
And have somebody make one song go viral on TikTok and do a dance to it. And you'll get 50,000 people doing the same freaking dance to the same song in hopes of what? Come on, bro.
Yeah.
Seriously.
This is a proven fact. I want to add on to what you just finished saying right now. It's a proven fact. This is a fact. Algorithms, right? It has to do with it's a huge system. So now what happens is the more people that are reposting or commenting on a post, eventually Instagram, and I believe it's the same thing for all other platforms, it picks up that post and it starts, trending, right? So in the US, check this out. In the US, the algorithm here, and again, you know more about technology than I do, so I'm sure you can chime in on this. In the US, they tend to make those video virals, the dumb stuff, the foolish stuff, right? Sometimes it is all games and it can be funny, but I feel like some people overdo it. In the US, more of those videos go viral, right? So it's like what everyone is seeing, it's what they're learning. In China, it's totally different. China, if you see how you go on YouTube to learn how to boil potatoes, how can I cut a plantain properly, right? How can I make a shake? I'm just throwing examples out there. In China, the algorithm picks up those videos because they want their viewers, their members in their apps to learn things, not to do foolish stuff, right? Because again, sometimes I hate labeling things foolish because people are trying to be funny, right? They're trying to do like dances and gestures, whatever that is. It is funny at times, but sometimes people overdo it to the point where it's actually no good for a child to focus. Oh, you know what? I want to be a TikTok and just do random videos or what? Why don't you go on YouTube? Become a YouTuber. Show people how to grow. How can I build up my cooking skills? How can I write better? What can I do to write a proper essay? What can I do to what can you do for others? How can you help someone else learn from you? How can you learn from someone else? China picks up that type of algorithm.
Yep.
I'm not sure if you were aware of that, but whoever's watching right now, I did read this a few months ago, and I was actually pretty amazed, and it makes total sense. It's like you see more and more of those videos and TikTokers, and think about it. Like these kids that are watching, all right, I want to be a TikToker, you know? Is there money? Yeah, there's money, but there's money in it, but it's a lot more than just making a video and having X amount of views, which is another factor that builds insecurity. It builds that feeling of failure. Oh, but you know, this person has 50,000 views and, you know, 20,000 likes. I only have 10, and that's
Yep.
okay. How many viewers does our live have, right? How many views does our YouTube channel have? But you know what it is? We don't do it for the views. We don't do it for the likes. We do it for you guys, for us, to build a platform where we can feel comfortable and grow, heal. Because you know what? Eventually, what's going to happen? The right people are going to join this live eventually. The right people are going to get into our YouTube. The right people are going to fall into our DM asking questions or having conversations. Or you know what? I just have to talk to someone. I see you guys talking about all these topics. You are the right person to talk to. You know, obviously we keep things private, but we're not here for the views and likes,
Yep.
right? It's God sent.
I think El
With
Blue wanted to join up. I don't know
yeah,
if you want to try having her get in.
yes, yeah. I was actually gonna mention that. I know it's Leslie and I believe Otto. Otto has someone who wants to join the live, so that's gonna be pretty dope. So yeah, but before I want to do it right before we get into the topic, the message that I had for today. Just want to get this across. You know, again, this platform is made out of uh our misery, you know, our obstacles, our hardships. This is what this platform is for. What it does for us, you know, it's great to have viewers. It's great to have people that can relate. And you know what? Out of all the views and likes, whatever that is, because again, we're not looking at the amount. That one message that we receive in the DM or email, oh man, you know what? You changed my whole perspective, or you guys just made my week better, my day better. I'm getting goosebumps as I'm saying it. That's an accomplishment to me. That's worth that one comment is worth more than 1,000 likes, 100 views, 150 views, whatever that is. And yeah, Otto, the world is hurting. The world is hurting,
Real quick,
and
I
we're
want to read a verse real quick, bro, that I
go
think,
ahead, big bro.
talking about what Jesus says, it just puts all of this in perspective. And I want you to kind of look at that before we start bringing anybody on. But Jesus himself said, right? He says this. He goes, there is nothing outside a person that by going into him can defile him. So whatever you bring in cannot defile you, right? But he
Mm-hmm.
goes on and he says essentially whatever comes out of the person is what defiles him, right? So what comes out of the person is what defiles him. For within, out of the heart of man, come evil thoughts, sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, coveting, wickedness, deceit, sensuality, envy,
Mm-hmm.
slander, pride, foolishness. Now, I want you to look when we're talking about social media, right? Especially social media. But what do you have especially when it comes to social media? People try to be like overly sensual because they want that, if you're females, usually you want to have like those likes from showing more than what you need to. It's like, yo, you don't got to defile yourself in order to get the attention of others. That's not the attention you want. For real, it's not. But then you also talk about pride. Why do you want all those likes? That's a pride thing. And the thing is about foolishness as well, because what's happened nowadays is that most people try to get the foolishness going, looking like a fool. They don't mind looking like a fool in order to reach that level of pride, something that they could be proud of. Now I want you to think about all these things, because when you look at that, what is the definition of defile? The definition of defile, right, is to spoil. That
Yeah.
spoils you. So in other words, all that does is it harms you, it spoils you, it makes you no longer good. And when you think about it, all these things, all these people doing stuff just to get the views, just to get the likes, trying to get an algorithm going so that they can hopefully go viral. At the end of the day, it does not help you. It
Mm-hmm.
spoils you, because here's the thing. Let's say that I go and I just go smack somebody, and it
Apparently,
gets,
it's okay to do it.
and it goes, and then let's say it goes viral. I guarantee you yeah, I might think, yo, people like it, people like it, people like it, people like it. But down the road, people not gonna respect me for it
No.
at all. They're not gonna respect me for it. They're gonna be laughing at me. They're not laughing with me. They're laughing at me. So the fact that people are laughing at me, what does that mean? That has spoiled my reputation. That spoiled how people see me. It does not build me up. So when I'm putting this against the word of God with the words of Jesus, tell me it doesn't line up, that it's not a perfect reflection, because all those things don't lead you to have anything better. At the end of the day, for example, you taking them sensual pictures, get people to look at me, I'm on the beat, look at the, like, get people to want me, to covet me or whatever, right? What most people will be is like, yo, at the end of the day, there will be people that it's like, oh man, I want to be just like her or whatever, but you're gonna get mad hate. You are gonna get mad hate. But at the same time, those same, like, if you're looking at for views, you got females that are gonna want to be like you. You're gonna want to have guys that are like, man, yo, if I could hit that, if I could do this, if I could do that. At the end of the day, they're not respecting you. And tell me, if you go into a job and they happen to have seen those pictures, you went viral with that stuff, they're not respecting you either. That spoils you. You see what I'm saying? All for what? For a temporary moment. You're not even making money on that. Like, the only way you're gonna make money on the social media, you're not gonna make money off a viral video or some viral pictures. You gotta be like mad consistent, where you're making content, and everybody's watching everything. One viral video is not gonna make you money.
You know what's sad was one source of income when you do such things. So there is a way to make money out of it. What I was mentioning before, and I'm glad that you brought that point up, but it's still not the best way to do it. And then how are you going to do with your mental health, right? So one way they do is they start promoting products, because there's so many people viewing your videos. So now you're over here charging someone because of the amount of people you have on your page, the amount of likes that you receive on a post, the amount of comments. You're able to put a price on a post. Now you can put a price on a photo of a product, or you can put a price on a video of a product, or you can also put a price on the introduction of a product by itself. But is that the way that we want to make money nowadays? Because
at the end of the day, for most people, it's not long lasting. It's a moment. It's your,
and for others, it's everything. You know, it's crazy.
Yep. Exactly, bro. Exactly. It's like, instead of edifying yourself in something that's gonna make you walk in power, you know what I'm saying? You're making yourself foolish in emulating all these different things for literally, hopefully, something that will get, will garner people's attention for a span of hopefully a day, maybe a week. But chances are, the odds are not in your favor that you're going to be able to continuously replicate.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen? You went viral on one thing. How you going to feel when nobody's paying attention to you with all the other views? You didn't do anything that uplifted yourself. You see what I'm saying? There was nothing uplifting about what you did, but that's the culture that we live in. So again, who knows? They might have done what they did in order to increase ticket sales, get people to watch a program, make me relevant. Absolutely, they might have. But this all still, at the end of the day, ties into the mental health. All of this, at the end of the day, when you look at it, is tied into mental health. And it's like none of us are doing each other any favors with, following these kinds of things from a mental health perspective.
I noticed a comment there. Social media has taught people, especially younger people, that the need for instant gratification. And it's very true. And we're talking about someone who works in the field with a lot of youth, young adults. And we see it even, in family, relatives, whatever it is, which is why we have to keep that communication going, just to let them know. Social media isn't everything. Don't believe everything you see. Whatever it is that's influencing, the children nowadays. Versus the importance of delayed gratification, and this is also responsibility of parents. Yes,
I will tell you this much, bro. To be honest with you, I'm so glad that she touched on that point. So happy that she touched on that point with this whole thing of instant gratification, because I'll tell you, that affects social media. But as a pastor, what I could see is even with like believers in Christ, but you know, believers in God, bro, everything's, you know, focused on this instant gratification.
in
I'll tell you
general.
why. I'll tell you why. You got a lot of pastors that are not, you know, tending to people the way that they should. And what they do is like prophetic word, prophetic word, prophetic word, prophetic word. Like every week I have you coming back. Like this is going to build you up. This is going to get you the car that you want. This is going to get you the house that you want. So you get that instant gratification. But what happens? Because you got people hoping on that instant gratification, when they don't have God immediately provide for them what they're hoping for. Oh God, I'm praying for this car. Oh God, I'm praying for this spouse. Oh God, I'm praying for this. Oh God, I'm praying for that. We think God is a genie, and when God doesn't provide to you immediately, you feel I'm doing something wrong, so I disconnect from God, or God hates me, or God's this, or God's that. You know, you start taking all this stuff, you know, on yourself, when it's
Yeah.
like, for why? Because you didn't immediately get what you wanted. You know what I'm saying? That's why so many people's faith is soft. I hate to
And
say
we've
it.
spoken about this. We've spoken
Yeah.
about this many times, to the point where we try to give people an understanding. Whenever you pray for something, or if someone gives you a message, right? Sometimes even I've been guilty of this. Oh man, that must have been from God. That was God sent. God is speaking through this person. Sometimes it may be the enemy. It may be the enemy causing
Absolutely.
distraction. So now what
Absolutely.
so what happens in this case? What happens in this case? You have to determine what you are receiving, advice, guidance, whatever it is. Take it, especially if it's coming from someone who you trust. Now, if it's coming from someone random, that doesn't mean disregard it. But what you
Yep.
can do is take that advice, take that guidance, take that message that you receive from that person. How do you feel about it? Are you willing to take the risk of whatever it was said, whatever it is that you're feeling? Most importantly, what I would do is I would go with my gut feeling. You know, man, you know what? It does align with what I've been feeling. So now it makes it easier for me to make that decision. I'm a person that I used to jump into overthinking mode. Them days are over. I'm not going to say I never overthink ever, ever again, because I do, but it's very rare when I do overthink. And I take the overthinking phase now as more time to think about the decision I want to make. So if I start over, I'll give you a simple example. If I decide to upgrade my phone, I'm going to ask myself, is it really necessary right now? And if I just start thinking about it, but obviously if my screen is cracked and there's issues with the phone that I have, what's doesn't it make it much easier for me to make the decision? Go ahead and
Absolutely.
buy the new phone. You know, and that goes with a lot of things in our life. Just want to
Yep.
make sure I don't miss any messages here.
You know, it's
Um,
funny, that
no,
instant gratification too. I saw somebody say, you know,
yeah,
nobody wants to put in the work, and shortly before that,
yes, I agree.
I saw Angelica and I saw Angie on there, and I know, like, for example, with her whole thing of like the power circle, right?
Hmm.
Um, how many females probably look at the posts that she puts, or people in those puts, and they're like, oh man, they doing this, they doing that, they making moves, blah blah blah, like they're looking up to it. But how many of them want that for themselves, but probably don't even put in an application to see if they can get into it? Or they don't
Hmm.
want to make the time to go to one of the get-togethers or one of the conferences, and they don't want to put in the work. And then what I see when I see like pictures of some of the people that I know in the group, when I see the post, you know, I put that heart on it, I put that fire on it. You know why? Because what I see is people going and putting the time, the effort in what they believe that they're being called to do. And it's like, you put in the work. At the end of the day, if that's what God has for you, it is going to yield results.
Yeah.
But you can't just expect, oh, God's just going to throw it on your lap. Oh, God,
Mm-mm.
I just want this business and just throw it on my lap and it's going to work on itself. It's going to generate money on itself. No, it takes effort. The same way that you have to have a relationship with God in order for those things to actually take place. I mean, God can bless you immediately. Don't get me wrong. I've seen it before. But let's call it what it is. It's about relationship. It's not about religion. It's about relationship. So if at the end of the day, imagine I got no relationship. Like, I hit up Marshy right now and I go, hey, Marshy, I haven't talked to you in 3 years. But yo, you know what? Can you go ahead and hit me up with $100 because I want you to bless me? Yo, if I got no relationship with Marshy, what am I doing?
Hmm.
You know, now if I come and I build a friendship and we're building a friendship and we're building a friendship, there are going to be things that are naturally going to flow out of the heart of the person in order to be like, yo, you know what? I want to bless this ministry. I want to bless this person. I want to bless this. I want to bless that. But if all I'm doing is once in a blue, yo, how you doing?
Yeah.
It's just so good to see you. Yo, you think you can hit me off with the, with $50, with $100, because I'm just trying to make this move or whatever, or be my customer. You know what I'm saying? Can you just be my customer? Can you buy a t-shirt? It's like, bruh, this person has not hit me up in the longest. And it seems like every time that they hit me up, they're wanting something from me. They're wanting me to buy this t-shirt. They wanted me to support this. They wanted me to support that.
It's all
that
about
is
intention,
not a relationship. Now take the human aspect of it and put it into God. God knows you probably more than you know yourself, because he created you. So at the end of the day, if he wants you to be the real you and you pretending to be something that you're not, you don't think God knows that you're being fake right off the bat?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no relationship. God, I promise that I'll be there. Please don't make promises to God if you ain't going. God does not need your promises. If you believe that God needs your promises, I'm here to tell you God does not need your promises at all. Worst thing you could do is go ahead and promise, because your actions are going to be different. If you're trying to walk right, if you're trying to have a relationship, all things work for the good of those who love him. You see what I'm saying? Now, that doesn't mean all the things work for the good of those who ask him. The word does not say that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But people think, yo, just by asking, I'm going to receive. How are you going to receive if you don't have a relationship? And that goes down here to the worldly. I cannot expect to receive from somebody else genuinely if I don't have a relationship.
I like what Otto put there in the comment. Some people need to have a relationship with self. It should all start there. Funny enough, that's exactly the message that I have for today for us. So Otto, I'm glad you brought that up. And yes, let it sink in. But right before we jump into the topic, I love where it went. We started with the whole thing with Will Smith. We dove deep, and we got people to engage as well, which is beautiful. But before I get started with the topic, I want to get Leslie on. Let's get Leslie on. And Otto, please let me know, you want to join, or is it your friend trying to join from your device, or is your friend on the live? Let me know. We're going to put Leslie on right now. And just to keep, let me see.
I cannot believe the comment I just saw.
Love you too.
Oh man, it's all love. It's all love.
Love you too, man. We're building no names. All right. So cool. I mean, let's put Leslie on. And then we'll get started with the topic, because I didn't want to miss that.
Let's go.
I
know God is talking tonight, but for real, put in the work while we wait for Leslie. Put in the work, please, people. Build relationships and put in the work.
He's trying. All right, Otto. So just let him know if he wants to join the live. He can go ahead and either get on C Chan Latte or J Mejia JR, the username. Angelica, I hope people know they can send you badges. Great. Yes. We always bring that up. We've had a few that has bought badges. But yeah, the badges are there for support. The badges, we are creating content on a weekly basis. We're here on a weekly basis to make sure that we keep each other, uplift each other, keep motivating each other, inspirating. And we do encourage, if you can buy badges, it's all to support the next content, to have us focus more on the content that we keep giving on a weekly basis. Angelica's happy. All right, cool. So we have a few people that are going to join.
Were we able to get Leslie? Were we able to get El Blue on
let's get Leslie first. I want to get Leslie up.
All right.
So we're going to time everyone just to make sure we give a chance for everyone to join.
Absolutely.
Leslie, right now, just finish sending the request. Let me know if you receive it.
Yep.
Leslie, what's good? What's up, guys? What's up?
Hello. So, I'm oh my God. You brought it right back, Carlos, to where I was going, because I wanted to say something about the Will Smith situation. Listen, I'm not into this whole social media, even though I'm always on Facebook. But for me, it's all fun. It's not for attention. And I'm thinking about, you know, these people because I follow them. I follow Will Smith. He's from my time, and his wife and whatever. And I follow that Red Table. Um, the thing is that you look at him, and I want to tell you guys, they've entertained this whole. He's entertained that his family's like this for a long time. And just like we've said before, whatever happens in the dark comes out in the light.
Absolutely.
You can't think that you're going to live, enjoy of certain things or whatever, laugh at certain things, because he's made fun of people too before, and that is not going to come back to you. The interesting thing that I also wanted to bring up here, especially because because he's a man, just from a man's, I have two quick, one from a man's perspective. And maybe from somebody spiritual, because I don't know if you guys know that he's even writing books. This man is looking for not only because they talk a lot about mental health, but he's looking for his spiritual self. So how funny it is that his whole family's falling into pieces while
he's in the process of that.
To find himself.
Yeah.
And think about it. Not only is it because he's a man, but he's also a man of color. All right. So, when we talk about, oh, well, this could be, just for ratings and all that, that's a dangerous place to be, because he's taking the whole, not only, let's say, his people like him, but then we're like him too. So, our kids are looking at this family. Really, we don't have a lot of people to represent. Look at who's being attacked. And then on the other side, I just want to leave this one out there. Maybe you guys can say something about this. So I'm trying not to make judgment, because we've all lived some crazy stuff. We've all allowed a lot of things that we're seeing exploding in our faces. But let's think about.
There we go. Okay.
This is a man who's been with his wife, who wants to show that they've been together, that they support one another. This woman hasn't supported him throughout this whole thing.
Wow.
And I keep reading about how, and I'm trying not to go crazy, but she has put things out there. Nothing that's saying, I support, it's a family thing. Her mother's not saying anything private. Either. They're always all out there together, because remember, the Red Table's her daughter, and her mother. Nobody's saying anything, but nobody's saying anything about him. Nobody's saying, we support him, we whatever. And this was something that happened because of her. So I read today something that said, oh, this woman, and look at how it happened. She's upset. She's the one I don't know why they're upset, because she talks about her situation. And like Carlos said, this is aesthetic. So, hey, they're laughing at people with hair on our faces, because we're going through different changes. What's so funny about that she can't, that she can't handle. But then she has this man who we all know is going to accept his recognition. Not only that, look at Samuel L. Jackson, his recognition on the same day. Another one, this man, al que le dieron el pecozón. What's going on here? And you're the one who's upset because they're talking about something that we see with our eyes. You know what I'm saying? This shows me this woman is making this guy get up, almost go to jail, because he could have gone to jail. And you're not supporting your husband? There's something wrong with the picture. And then we're all going around with, oh, I hope I wish a man does this for me. Oh, he really loves her. How many men are in jail because of this same situation? We've got to talk about that. Because all these young men all these young women who really, we don't know, you know, what love is and what a marriage is and what a family is, are looking at this at a moment, you know, as the one that we're living. How confusing is that? And then you see that, you know, Miss Queen is not even, you know, she's not in, because she could have even said, why didn't she say, no, Will, sit down? No, Will, you know, this is our family. As much as she talks, sit down. This is not the time. On the contrary, it really looked like she was saying, what are you going to do about it? It's a, you know, it's a, and as you said before, she's talked about him, you know, whatever. This man, they know, they have people that fix this. There's a lot of public relations people that are going to fix their situation. But how do they fix a woman that's not even supporting her man? We have to talk about this, you know?
Well, I think there, Leslie, you have a number of different issues. Again, I don't place any of the blame on her, honestly. You know, let me just, everybody has to own their own thing. You have your own walk with the Lord, right? But this is where we get into the whole thing, being 100% blunt and honest. This is where we get into the whole thing about what is the rock of any marriage supposed to be, any family supposed to be. It is supposed to be the Lord, right? So here now we get into a number of different issues. First and foremost, it is impossible for you to make the Lord, you know, the rock of your family, the rock of your marriage, if, like you mentioned, something that was very key, like he's trying to find his own spiritual thing, right? He's trying to take that walk, because from that perspective, he's broken down. So it's a thing of like, you don't have that for yourself. So it becomes very difficult. A lot of times it becomes very difficult for you to love yourself when you don't understand how God loves you. Let me tell you, I have seen it with my own eyes and I have experienced it. When you understand that God has you here at this point in time, the things that God has saved you from, the fact that he gave his life for you, right? The fact that if you start to break down, right? Look at your life, all the different times that God has saved you from, you know, from a number of different things. It may be even possibly even being here, right? Just your very birth, you were one. Let me do the math, break it down from a scientific perspective. The chance of you being here out of, you know, what you call it, out of sex, the chance that you could have been here is one out of how much? How many, you know, hundreds of thousands or millions? It's a small percentage. So the fact that God has you here in this point of time, and while you're alive, he has saved you from so many things. And I can tell you, there's people that are going to understand it more often than not, because I've seen people whose kids have luckily didn't end up dead, right? I've seen people that have had kids who have been told that, hey, you should abort the child because this child is going to end up being a child with Down syndrome, and the child came out fine. Or the child, being a child, goes and bumps into something or falls off a bike or does this and that, and they go, this child's probably not going to walk, is going to have a speech impediment, is probably going to die, look at all those things. Look at all these things that we go through as kids. I remember my parents told me, yo, I don't even know how you're here, because there was a time where you like flipped out of your crib because you just kept moving around, and you flipped out of the crib and you like were like this close to hitting a metal thing on the bed, and you were only like months old. So I don't even know how I'm here. And that's the thing. All of us look at that. When you understand the love that God has for you, to have saved you from so many things, you can come to realize, wow, even no matter what difficulty I'm going through in my life, it's taken me, and I'm not telling you this something like, yo, for the last, 40 years I've been living that way and I've realized it. No, it's something that in the last few years I have come to realize. What has God saved me from? What has God taken me out of? Where have I been? Look at the relationship that God saved me from, and I'm here with this person. Or look at where God put me, and I could have been somewhere else, and all these different things. I put all of this together, and I realize how much God loves me. And when I realize how much God loves me, I can love myself, realizing that God has taken that time, and God made no mistake. But if I don't have that relationship with God, how can I put God in the middle of my marriage? I can't, because I don't even realize how much he loves me. So you start to look at where all these things are breaking down in the marriage. I could tell you right off the bat, and I'm not trying to go and criticize people's marriages and stuff like that, but I could tell you the fact that he's looking for spirituality and he can't figure it out and he's having a tough time finding that takes a toll on you. But that tells me right off the bat, God ain't in your marriage, first and foremost. And on top of that, the fact that your daughter, I had to tell this to somebody, and I hate to break it to you. Oh, I'm polyamorous. I'm sorry. Back in the day, growing up in the hood, if you were polyamorous, you were known to be a hoe.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, Carlos. That's the whole thing. That we're looking at this like, oh, what's going on? Why is this happening? Why, and we're talking about, well, mental illness, all these things that are right. You're right. But the thing is that we also have to look at who these people are.
Yep.
They've welcomed everything into their
family. Because that's what we talk about, opening doors. You know about opening doors.
Right.
You know about opening doors.
The gods there are Jada. The God there is Will. The God there is the daughter. They're all gods. And so, but that's what I'm telling you. Then we come in, oh, look at what happened with so-and-so. Oh, look at all these poor people. Well, what are these people doing? Because they're really not living a life, and I don't want to go and I don't want to tear down their life because that's their choice. But, this is what we're all looking at. This is what we're all entertaining. And we really have to see that they've been entertaining this life. So let's just get out of, the Smiths. Let's look at us. Whatever you entertain is going to explode in your face. And not only is it going to explode, but then you're going to have to deal with that. You have to deal with it. Because even if God comes, even if you accept God into your life, and we've been saying this for a long time, there's going to be stuff that you're going to have to deal with. Absolutely. Especially when you're looking for him. So let's say that let's go back to him. Let's say that he is looking for God. Now this guy has to fall from being God. Because that's what he's been for everybody. And look like he's going crazy. No, is that you got to break down before you get to God. Because you cannot come to God being a God. Right?
Leslie, real quick, to put a quick pause, because there's no such thing as coincidences.
Mm-hmm.
You could say mental health, and you can say, like, you just mentioned a key word, which was like, oh, look, going crazy, right? Look at Kanye.
Perfect
Built
example.
Up to be a god, was married to a family. Come on, bro. Like, really think about that. I mean, the idolizing of people and the way that they, the way that they got built up, and then people are like idolizing. Yeah. Let's call it what it is. Okay. Yeah. What's the same way that, like, look, in order for God to work him, he asked for God to work with him. God had to tear him down. You have to be torn down. You know why? Because God cannot inhabit in the darkness. What God goes and says, like, yo, this is not working with me. These are my commands. One of those commands are idolatry, right? Lifting yourself up as God, or lifting other things up as God. Wherever something that God does not jive with is, God can't be there. So if you're asking for God to be there, he's got to tear it down. Because let me tell you, if you built it up, you're not going to be able to tear it down yourself. You're just not. Because tell me who's broken that down on their own.
And Kanye's a fighter, man. Kanye's a true fighter, though. He's definitely pushing through, because I have followed up with him a bit more for the simple fact that I've gone through similar situations, right? I can't say everything, but it also, what I loved about it as well is, the fact that he put his story out, right? Because he didn't have to make it public, right? His situation, like he has been doing, putting videos out, how he's been feeling towards him not being able to get the information on his daughter's birthday, and so forth, is so much. But the simple fact that we're talking about a celebrity shows the public, it's like, wow, even celebrities go through this. Because people think
with Kanye too, Because the thing with Kanye, like when he, and I mean, it's not songs, because, you know, songs sell. And of course he's going to sell. But when he came out and he's like, oh, great songs, I don't know, you know, with his CD, with all his, you know, God songs, I'm thinking, okay,
like gospel,
going well and whatever. And then he went around and he went and did his own church. And it just seemed like it was about Kanye. You've got to stop this, because it's what I'm telling you. God will go and break it down, and he's going to break it until he takes everything away. You know, so he's a strong guy and it looks good. But realistically, what is he doing? He's still going out with all these women. He's still being him. He's still, you've got to die. You know, we all, because I'm not saying that I've done that, but you really have to die every day to self. You can't be, especially when you're out there showing yourself to people, you can't be, you know, on and off, because you're taking everybody down with you, you know. And you know, another thing, and yeah, this is where I am. But remember that abuela used to say, dime con quién tú andas y te diré quién eres.
Yeah.
That says a lot about you. We grew up like that. You have to be careful who.
And that's biblical too. That's biblical.
Exactly. You have to be very careful who you have around you. You have to be careful of who you choose to have around you, who you choose, and especially who you choose to marry. Because guys, you know what I learned not too long ago? You don't choose your children. You don't choose your parents. You don't choose your friends. You don't even choose your friends, but you choose your mate. All right. So these people that we're talking about, look at who they're choosing for whatever the purposes were, because I mean, I'm so sorry, but look at the people that they've married. What do you think is going to come from that?
And that's where accountability becomes important too. Accountability becomes important there, where you have friends or spouses or whatever that hold you accountable, which unfortunately in Hollywood you typically don't have. Because the thing is that I gave it, you know, to kind of dumb it down outside of celebrity into like normal human life. One example that I gave somebody yesterday was when you open the door, like let's say, for example, most people don't go just into cheating, right? Very rarely do they go into cheating where it's like, oh, immediately I'm going to go cheat. A lot of times what happens is they might be surrounded by people that they consider to be friends, and then or co-workers that they consider to be friends or whatever. And then all of a sudden, somebody, because the enemy will know who to influence.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Enemy knows who to influence. That person will make a flirtatious comment. Now you can choose in that moment, do I allow the door to open? Because the flirtatious comment is on the door.
Yeah.
That's the sin right there on the door. Now you can make the decision. Do I open the door by giving the flirtatious comment back? Or do I keep the door closed and not entertain it? Now, what happens is you don't go into the adultery right off the bat. You choose, do I entertain that comment or not?
Yeah.
Right? This is just one of many examples, right? And what happens is if you entertain the comment, you start to open the door. Those who truly love you will hold you accountable to be like, yo, I see you opening that door. Let's close it.
Right.
Most people choose to not confront the issue, the true love, so that they don't go that route. So what happens is, oh, it's just a flirtatious comment. It's just my friend making a flirtatious. It's just this. It's just that. Right? And they don't say anything. So what happens? Little by little, that door opens wider and wider and wider and wider because nobody is helping to close the door. So what happens? Down the road, because you opened the door, you didn't get there immediately. You got there with baby steps. And once the door is wide open, God knows what you're going to allow through that door. You know what I'm saying? And that's where all of a sudden it can escalate into something that leads you to sin. The whole thing is not that you're going to go to sin like 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds. You know, the whole thing is, are you allowing the door to be open? And that's what happened in their case. Oh, it's just my son acting like this. Oh, it's just my wife doing this. Oh, it's just my daughter doing this. Oh, it's just me allowing myself to do that. Little by little, all these different things. I'm just allowing. It's not big thing. It's not a big thing. It's like when you would hear people like when they would say, "Yo, but your son's wearing dresses. Your son's wearing skirt." Ha 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 ha. Like it's just a joke. I don't even know what to think. I'm not saying anything, but it's just kids gonna be kids, whatever. All these different things, right? You opened the door, or the door was open, and you're not being the one to be accountable to close the door. Case in point, I guarantee you, if you see your child as a teenager popping a Vicodin, you're gonna be like, oh, it's just a Vicodin. It was just one. Hell to the no. I'm gonna go handle that. You best believe I'm gonna handle that. Because I don't want my child to all of a sudden get hooked on other stuff because I already see the door that's being opened. Yeah, it's just a Vicodin, but what can that Vicodin lead to?
Right, but see, that's it. We're all saying the same thing. I think that where I am, but I'm from a different mindset or era. The thing is, don't confuse accountability or lack of accountability. Don't confuse it with mental issues. You see what I'm saying? Because one is and when we hear it now in society, everything is mental this, mental that. I work with a lot of people with autism. And today I was hearing a young man. I had to hold my tears, man, because he's saying these things that are like up here. Okay, up here, and I'm saying, my goodness, and you're saying, and you're labeled. Meanwhile, a lot of people that aren't can't see it like that. So don't come and say that it's a mental disorder. We have emotional, mental issues, but let's be real. Is that a mental issue, or is that you can't handle what you chose to bring onto your life? And for our belief, the way that we see things and the way that we understand, it's not the same thing. You have to be accountable for what you allowed to happen.
What else? What else I want to add on to what you both said, and I'm sure many people can agree. We missed this little part as well. Whether it's a celebrity level or at an average level, sometimes money does a lot of things, right? Now, if we take it back to when these individuals, we talking about Will Smith, we can talk about Jada, everyone in general, when they start, there's a lot of sacrifices that they make, whether it's time with family, time with a partner. And let's say if they were too young to have someone and they were dedicated to their career to keep building, their resume, they would still have to be away from the family, away from the important things. So they were more focused on, man, I just finished making $40K, I'm on the road for $100K per role or whatever it is. That was their goal. That's all they knew, right? Most of them, they do a lot of sacrifices health-wise, right? They can't even afford to eat well because their living condition has to be at a certain level just to try and make it. Let's say if I decide to be an actor and being down in Soho is where I have to be on a daily basis to make it on time to these auditions, because I know I'm going to sleep 2 hours a day, right? I have to work at the same, whatever the case is. But there's one thing that we missed. Will Smith and Jada, let's use them as an example. They're both public figures. They both have roles on a weekly basis. They have movies to be in, right? Now, they're away from each other. And that's already hard enough. It's easy for us to see it from the outside, right? Oh, but they're rich. They have enough time. We have to work 40 hours. Yeah, but there's times where they have to work 40, 80 hours and miles away from each other. And let's go back to the average level now. There's people that make X amount of money and they focus so much on making hundreds of thousands and millions, but they don't attend to their partner. So now they're more focused on making money, but I provide. I'm paying the rent or the mortgage. The house is paid for. You don't really have to do much, but a person needs love.
Right.
A person needs attention. And is those factors that affect these relationships. You know, and I think that goes a long way. The whole thing with Kanye, you know, Kanye, you know, he's not the only one in this world that went through situations, but I love his story. But I also love what I'm seeing happening with him, because no one is exempt from suffering. It's a prime example. No one is exempt from suffering. He doesn't have to make his problems public, but it helps him, and he knows he's helping someone else, especially after releasing all those gospel songs, which to me are amazing. Going from like the industry to what they want you to release, and what, you know, he was the first one. You tell him to jump off a roof, he'll jump off a roof. I need you to light a cross on fire, he probably would have done it. You know, there's a lot of music that these artists are making out here and doing that the people up top who we don't see, right? And I don't know if it's okay for me to mention, but if most people are aware of the elite and they believe in that stuff, they're the ones that control the whole music industry.
Yep,
really.
absolutely.
But then who falls under them? The people that fall under them are the music managers, the record labels. Notice how there's only a specific amount of record labels out there. I'm sorry, that are big and are running no matter what, because they have the money for it. They've been doing this for a while. They've been controlling all these artists. So the public figures, the famous people, the celebrities, they've been taking a beating for a while. So that alone takes a toll on their mental health. Imagine what it does whenever they finally want to settle down and they just don't want to deal with that anymore. And they're like, you know what? I want to focus on family. They still have trauma. They still have whatever memory they have in their head, whatever they had to do to get to where they're at, whatever person they had to hurt, whatever moment they had to make viral, whether it's self or involving someone else, is in the back of their head.
Okay, but let's bring it home. Let's bring it home, because guess what? Now, as the little people, forget about those big people, because those big people,
I wanted to mention that too,
are prioritized, and they're gonna have to deal with all that. But as the little, the ones that we could say, and you know, here we're gonna go again, mental health, heartbreak, and all that. This, we can really say this: whatever we opened, whatever doors we opened, the thing is that God, when God is in there, remember, is a matter of accountability, and then God comes and takes it all. And I don't know, because I'm telling you, I'm a little older, and I'm sincerely saying, because this forum, I love this, because we talk truth here.
No, this is what we need. This is what we need.
Some very questionable, you know, choices sometimes. You know, like I have to catch myself and say, wait a minute, am I this person, or am I still back there? Because, you know, in a second you're like, oh, you know, whatever, this, and then you look and you're like, wait, but this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And then you take it back. God helps you in a second to forget all that. So imagine a little person that's been hungry, or, you know, whatever, or my children almost lost them, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
There's no money covering me. There's no memory of this big thing or whatever. And you know that in real time, in real life, whatever you did is right in your face. Because like I said before, these people have PR people, and they have, you know, like you were saying, they have some other product that covers them. They have something that's going to cover. The enemy does that. He'll come and fix it so that then you look a different way, and then you still go follow the crazy, you know, stuff. But with us, the reality is, who's first? Who, with us and everybody, but you know what I'm saying? Since we're all talking here, who's going to be the center? That is it. Because that will break it down and bring it right back up really quickly, you know?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we've all, and you guys started saying that.
Yeah.
And you got to fix it.
and I love the fact that you said that because it's true. I can actually testify to this. I was one person that even though I grew up learning and knowing God, right? But it wasn't intense for me, because of course I have parents who would talk to me about it, but we learned about it a certain way, Catholic, right? But then as I was living life, there was even times where I was in denial because of everything that was happening and that I was experiencing. But then I also learned shortly after that, it was because of the decisions that I made, the actions that I took, whether it was self or towards someone else, And I'm not going to say like it was like karma. No, it was like, all right, you've been living a little reckless. You want to live the reckless life. He granted the reckless life because this is what it's going to bring you. Now you either are destroyed from that reckless life or you actually learn from it many lessons and continue to grow from it. And you're like, wow, this is not the way. Once you make that decision, once you make that realization, right, you realize what life is really about and how you're supposed to treat people, how you're supposed to treat yourself to start yourself, how you're supposed to look at yourself, how you're supposed to feel inside. It's when everything unlocks and all those doors start to open. In terms of like meeting people, right? With friends. I love the fact that you brought that up because Abuela used to say it, mommy, all of our parents used to say it. And whatever they say, we actually take it to the next generation, which is beautiful. And we have to continue doing that. We have to continue doing that. We learn from that. From the people that were around us, there's a reason why they're not around us anymore. Because if they weren't around us, they might have been around us today. So I'm actually glad that those friends were around years back in the teenage years. But in that process, we learned why they're not next to us, why we stick to family. And that goes for everyone, to family. Because family, no matter what, there's always going to be troubles, issues, whatever it is. But as long as there's communication, the love is unconditional. There are circumstances where it may lead down the dark path, but for those who are not experiencing that, you have to thank God for it. And for those who are experiencing those dark moments with family or friends, remember, maybe there's a reason why. Maybe there's a reason why. You may be toxic or they may be toxic. Either way, you have to remove yourself or you have to remove them from your life, whether it's temporarily or permanent, whatever it is. Just let God do his work. Focus on you. Focus on loving yourself. I also learned that loving yourself, you start understanding your own behaviors, your decision making, the people around you, the people that you attract to you. It has a lot to do with that. Because if you don't love yourself, you're just gonna let anyone in.
Absolutely.
If you don't learn from others, you're just gonna let everyone in. And one thing is this: when we choose our partners, and again, like we were saying, the friends, I feel like life is all about taking a risk, and that's the only way we're going to learn. How did we learn? It's from which is why I say that influence is huge. Whether we see it in a TV show, on a YouTube channel, in our family, whoever's guiding us, whoever's giving us advice, it's like, what if somebody tells you, listen, I don't want you to smoke cigarettes, but they have a damn cigarette in their hand. It's like, what type of advice is that? Obviously, along the way, you're going to learn, you know what? It takes longer. Sometimes it takes other people longer. Maybe they're telling me that because, yeah, they're smoking cigarettes and they're having trouble to stop and they don't want to see me go through the same pain. Or they don't want me to experience what they're feeling because of that habit or addiction, And I feel like life is all about risks. We learn as we go. When we have a partner, think about the partners that we've all had in the past. There's a reason some people meet the same person twice, right? And that's tough. But eventually, when you meet the right person for you, for your life, why is that? Because you know what? I remember what I did not want. But we also have to remember what we don't want to do to others as well. So it's like, we have to speak on both sides. Like, I feel like I always have to speak on both sides. We don't want things in our life, but we don't also want to like give others what we have given others to feel. You know, because the same way we've been heartbroken, we learn from it, but we've also broken hearts. And man, you know, that's like horrible, you know, and it's like, all right, now I know how it feels. The next person I have, I just want them to feel that comfort. I want them to feel the love. I want them to feel the attention. Another testimony that I want to give is one point in my life, because of me feeling that I've wasted so much time in my young age. Now, I would say a few years ago, I bit off more than I can chew. And what am I trying to say by that is, man, I wanted a better life for my family. You know, I got to work. I got to go to school. I got to do all these things because I have to make sure they're okay. So I was meeting everything in all areas. But was I giving the time to my family? And of course I would when it was time for vacation. But when do the average people take vacation? Sometimes it's once, twice, maybe 3 times a year. And that's a lot for the average, And it was so much that I learned from those moments. It's a lot that it's just never ending. And it took me a while to accept it. As soon as we do that, that's when the healing starts. You know, that's when you start understanding every single situation after that. And it goes even to work. Like, we've mentioned this in multiple lives. Whenever you apply for a job and you get denied, your application is withdrawn. God is there, of course, but maybe that's not the job for you. Yeah. We don't know if it's going to take over your mind. It's going to change the way you are. It's going to take away your time from your family. You know, it's not going to help you grow as much as if you were to have the job that you have now. So now I can think about the jobs that I've been denied in the past. But I'm also grateful for the jobs that I had before that and the ones that I had after. And I've picked up so much all the way from the ones that I've had to the ones where I've been denied and not accepted. And I know what I felt in those moments and how grateful I was shortly after that, and every single job after that, you know. So it's so much that we learn as we go. We have a few comments there.
2 quick things before you read those comments.
Go ahead, Big Bro, go ahead. I'm gonna scroll down to make sure I don't miss any.
One thing that as I was hearing what y'all were saying, it was the Lord was reminding me of what we talked about last week, where we brought up that the very first ministry that your family gives you, that God gives you, the most important ministry is your family. And that's where a lot of people fail, because they don't realize, and Christians, you know, that are church-going Christians make that mistake too, because it's God first, and then it's supposed to be, you know, it's your relationship with you and God, and then it's your family. And a lot of people, what they do is they skip that piece. They go relationship, and then it's church, or relationship and it's work, or relationship and it's school, and then the family is everything else. So what happens there is that, again, that opens a door, because you're going and you're already messing up. You're going and not paying attention to the very first ministry that God gives you. And then from there, everything else kind of flows. So it's like, when you don't take care of that first ministry, the doors open. And then that's where it leads to a lot of things, because, again, taking this particular instance that we've been talking about today, this particular family, right? You can look, I actually had a revelation here. You know, you gave a perfect example of, like, how you going to tell me to not smoke a cigarette when you're smoking a cigarette? How you going to tell me in that moment, don't smoke? And it just reminded me of, like, doors being open. And it's like, you know, when Jada's telling her daughter, like, you know, questioning about this whole polyamorous thing and everything like that. Yo, how you going to tell me or question me about being polyamorous? You already see where I'm going. I see Leslie already smiling because she knows where I'm going. How you going to tell me about being polyamorous when you married and you just put my dad on blast that he knew about all the things that you were doing with this dude and this and that and the third? Very difficult for you to try and correct your child when you're doing something, and it's full-blown knowledge that, yo, we were cool with that. I thought we understood this relationship. I thought we knew that this was going on. It's like, you see, you open the door. And now that you want to close the door, it becomes very difficult for you to close the door when you have already committed mistakes and possibly, you know, recently committing this mistake or still committing the mistake, and you want to question somebody else on that. That's why you need to be very, very careful. Very, very careful. And you don't even have to be walking the wrong way. You just need to be very careful about what you're doing. Case in point, it's not sinful for you to drink. But if I'm drinking, like let's say I'm having a glass of wine and I know that I'm pastoring somebody that's an alcoholic. Again, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not doing anything wrong because the sin is in the gluttony. So in other words, the sin is in getting drunk, right? But how you know, I got to watch myself as a pastor because at the same time, I might have to deal with the person who's the alcoholic. And at the moment that they see me at a restaurant having one glass of wine, right, in public, that person might not accept the correction that God is giving me because God reveals to me that they're an alcoholic. The problem is in the gluttony, the sin of their gluttony, the sin in getting drunk. But they no longer now accept the correction because of what they viewed.
Correct.
That's why you need to be very careful about the doors that you open.
Yeah.
Again, maybe I don't want to have a glass of wine, and you know, it sucks that I can't have a glass of wine in a restaurant, but I can have a glass of wine at home in private where nobody's seeing, where I'm just, you know, hey, I'm just going to have a glass of wine and chill out. But the thing is, I have to now analyze what happens if my purpose is this. That's why it's so important to ask God for your purpose. Because when you know the purpose that God has for you, you're going to guard and take care of, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because that potentially opens the door for somebody else to look, for the enemy to say, hey, look at this door. The crack's open. You can't correct that. And that's where we mess up. You see what I'm saying? And in the case of this family, that's where we saw, you know, you possibly weren't taking care of your ministry at home, focusing on how much money you could make for your family, which anybody can fall into that.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you don't make God the center of it, that's where we fall into that. Because the same way that the family might not be together because they're working long things, I've seen people that do put God in the center and are doing their God's, you know, the calling that God has for them, and they're traveling every week.
Yeah.
You know, and they're out and they don't have issues, and things are all right at home, and things are all right with their spouse, things are all right because they're giving the attention to take care of that ministry. And they say, when I'm on the road, I'm focusing on this, but I'm still checking on my family. But when I'm at home, all this other stuff is out. I'm not paying attention to that because this is my family time.
Yeah.
Because this is a time that God has allowed me to have with my family, and it's very important for you to pay attention to that.
And you know what? Quickly, and guys, thank you so much again because you allow me all this time to talk. One thing that I'm gonna say, and because I know that you are getting ready to talk about self-help or self.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, I think that, and I don't know how to, you know, as a parent of grown people, and as a person that people tend to listen to, you know, it ends up coming back to who is it that I follow? You know, who is the first in my life? Because it can't be me. You know, I can't do it by my own because, you know, we make weird choices and we, you know, we're just human. That's what we do.
Absolutely.
But when you know, and this is really, because then when you put it like this, it's like we come back to, oh, but who do you think you are? You know, when you know whose you are and what the purpose that you have here is, and it's not a purpose of like what you're supposed to do with your life, but what God has you here to do, which is be for His purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You see, it's a different thing. Because then if I'm to say, well, you know, God put me here and I'm the apple of His eye, it's very different from me saying, you know, I got this and I got control of everything else. No, God has control of me and I am still working to do what He does even when I make a mistake, you know, and that el golpe da menos cuando because you know we're still gonna make weird choices because we're human and we go by feelings.
And that's how we learn, yeah.
You know, but if we know and we gauge what we're doing by who we are following, it makes a whole difference, you know. And Morena put something here and she says, you know, be careful what you listen to, be careful what you eat, and something like that. That is so true, because when
there's so many factors,
are attentive of what you're listening to, what you're looking at, what you're, you know, ingesting, you know that what you're taking care of is the temple. And so this all becomes not what I am because I made it, but what I am because that's what I'm supposed to be here. And then that question about what's your purpose changes, because your purpose is whatever God has for you and not what you make it for yourself, you know? And that again is how you, I mean, I'm not trying to preach, you know, I'm just saying it from my own experience. That's how you forgive your everyday mistakes, you know, to yourself. And that's how it becomes then, okay, this household is run, you know, what is it? As for me and my house,
we will serve the Lord.
You know, we'll serve the Lord. So I can't accept these things that you're bringing into my house. See, that's the difference. I can't accept that my son is wearing a skirt. I can't accept that my daughter's coming up with this. I'm looking for God, right? Are you looking for God? Because I can love you, but if you're not looking for God, you can't be in this situation. And so the growth is going to happen, like you said, Carlos. You know, God is always going to be there. He's going to take you wherever you have to be and give you, you know, the desires of your heart, but it's not going to be under your terms, you know, and that makes this whole situation seem different. I mean, you know, again, I'm just saying it by my experiences. But you have to look at, you know, you have to really look at how you're walking this walk, because when all these things happen, it becomes a lot of questions come, you know, and if you don't look at the right things, you're just judging and judging and excusing and making it, you know, just wasting the time in these things that, as we're saying, these people have to deal with their stuff because this is what they chose to do, you know. And then it becomes this whole big thing when in essence it's so easy. It's just take care of yourself for the purpose that you are here, you know, and after that your family falls into that, and that's what brings you back in Maine, you know. Anyway, thank you.
No, thank you, Les.
Thank you, definitely.
I'll see you. Well, I'm gonna still be listening, but I'm sure that next Thursday I'll want to come on again.
For sure. Anytime.
Take me out of here.
All right, Les. Love you. All right, take care.
Love you.
As we look to possibly connect the next person, something I love that I saw in the comments, Mejia de Rosa put in there, you know, not to judge, but pray for the people. And definitely that's what you want to do, because a lot of times it becomes very easy for us to look at the situation from the outside looking in and judge and judge and judge and judge. And Jesus himself told us, like, you know, we're not supposed to be the ones to judge, because, you know, the one who can judge is the one who, you know, the person that has no sin, let them cast the first stone, right? Like, that's what he said. So it's a thing of, like, you don't want to be judging people. It's a thing of, you know, you can be a brother or sister and go and definitely lovingly correct. But if you're not going to be able to correct, if you don't have that opportunity to correct, absolutely the best thing to do is to go ahead and pray for them. But all of this should be based on, you know, on things that, like, God says, God reveals that is going on. You know what I'm saying? Based on his word. Use that. Always use the word as a reflection. Don't use your opinion, your feelings, and all that stuff, because that's not the move. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, that correction that you feel needs to come should not be judgment. It should be the love for, like, yo, I see that this is going to cause this person problems. This is something that is taking them the wrong road, you know, down the wrong road. This is taking them away from God. That's the biggest thing. It's taking them away from what God has intended for them. You know what I'm saying? Like Leslie put right there, that's part of the word. You know, don't be trying to go ahead and you know, take that out of there. You know, take this piece of wood, a small thing that they got in their eye when you got this huge plank in yours and you can't even see because of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be very careful about that, because God can lead you to go and correct somebody, lovingly correct them. Like, yo, listen, I think that you're going the wrong way because of XYZ. And I'm not telling it to you because of me.
Those are the real ones.
Exactly. I'm not telling it to you because of me. I'm telling it to you because, like, yo, this is what God wants for us, for real. Like, you know, be easy. And that's the thing. Like, you can lovingly correct, but that doesn't mean that you judge them, because a lot of times people go the opposite route. And I could tell you, a lot of Christians and all religions, people that are very heavy on religion and they don't really have a relationship with Christ, they don't realize that Christ, like, even to his own disciples, he corrected his disciples, but he loved everybody. You know, that's why he chilled with the prostitutes, with the thieves, with you know, with the ones where he chilled with everybody, because he had that love of, I'm going to show them, like, I'm going to correct them, I'm going to reveal myself of who I am. And a lot of people fail to do that because what they want to do is judge. And you cannot, when you judge, there's no love in you judging somebody. But when you lovingly correct, and it's like, listen, I don't want to see what happens to you by going down the wrong road. You know, that's different. That's completely different than, it's a very thin line. You got to really watch it, but it's something that you really got to look out for. You know, definitely. Thank you for that comment. You don't want to judge, but you do want to lovingly correct, because if you truly love somebody, you're going to correct them with love. You're going to show them, you know, why, hey, listen, this is why I'm correcting you. And that should always be based on God's word in a loving way, because if he corrected with love, believe me, we should be able to do the same.
Amen. Amen. You know what I want to, I'm not sure if Angie's still on. Angie, if you're on, let me know so you can get on the live. Otto, if you wanted to join, or your friend, let me know. But in the meantime, as we wait, I'm gonna go ahead. So we went deep, you know, and I love where this topic went. So it went pretty deep. Recognition and acknowledgement, you know, self-love and care. I want you all to think about your past and present. So think about, you know, what you've gone through in the past, and think about where you are today. And just want to say, you are enough. No matter what, you are enough. And this message, I know, is going to get pretty deep, especially with everything we discussed. Again, which it wasn't even planned, right? It was not planned. We weren't going to talk about the whole Will Smith, but we dove deeper. Now, doesn't matter what you think or how you see yourself based on what others have said in the past, what was done to you, or what you have said or done to others in the past. We are all valuable, amazing, beautiful, unique, capable, full of potential, and so much more. We are able to turn it all around. Give yourself another chance, others another chance. Life is all about taking chances, making moves, whether it's business or personal. Your mind, decisions, and actions is the key factor of where we plan to be and of where we are and or are going in life. So I want everyone to, you know, just think about that real quick. And there's a whole life ahead of you, ahead of all of us. You are in full control of where you want to go in life and with whom. And of course, God is always going to be there, right? Because he's going to either accept or deny any prayer you have. He's going to accept or deny any request you may have, because sometimes people won't even pray for it. All you got to do is think about it and go for it. If you want a specific person to be your partner and they say no to you, then maybe you're not for that person, or that person isn't for you. If you go ahead and apply for that job and you get denied, that means that job was not for you, or maybe you did not belong in that job. Because again, I like to talk about both sides. Now, we are able to fix, solve, or minimize the amount of issues that occur in our lives, whether we ourselves are the cause or not. If you were the reason for that problem, it's all about admitting, accepting, as I mentioned before, apologizing, and moving forward. Life stops for no one. We are here one day and may be gone the next. No one is perfect. We all have a past. We've all been bullied, disrespected, hurt, but it's how we get through these experiences that matters. And once we get through and get over these experiences, it's how we carry ourselves after that. Because there's so much that we go through in the process of it. But who are you going to become? That's the real question. What are you going to be doing for others or to others? Are you becoming a better person during that process? Sometimes it's not during, it's after the experience, after the trauma, after the situations. You become who you're destined to become. There's people that get through problems and they choose the wrong path. And I'm going to break that down in the next passage. Are you going to hurt others emotionally, mentally, or physically because of your bad past? Or are you going to remember what it felt like and make things better, move, and think different? This world needs change. You may not be able to change the whole world, but you can create a world for many lives by impacting them with greatness, such as great intentions, deeds, assistance, guidance, which would help everyone grow and heal. Lead them down a path fully equipped with patience, faith, and confidence. So what I did there, I did a quick fast forward of what we were going to discuss from the beginning. But I love the simple fact that we did not start with this message here, because it was major what we spoke about the beginning of this live today, because it can connect multiple ways. You know, really think about everything I just finished saying. There's a lot of things that we go through. Are you willing to change and become a better person? And it's never too late for that. Because if you're listening to this message right now, what I do have to say is tomorrow can be different. If you've been a certain way, or you've been handling a situation a certain way, or you haven't forgiven someone or apologized to someone, or haven't accepted something in your life, this is the time to accept it now. This is the time to remove the weight that you have on you that's holding you down, that's preventing you from moving forward in that relationship, from moving forward in that career, from moving forward in that course that you're trying to take. Accelerate it by admitting, accepting, and letting go. Let go and let God. Let go and let God, because it's the only way. It's the only way. And if you look back at yesterday, if you look back at last week, at any issue that you may have or any issues that you're having right this moment, has it been any better with the actions you've taken towards that problem? Have you been gearing more towards solving that problem or delaying from solving that problem? Is it making that situation worse with the way you're thinking of that, or the fact that you're not letting go? But let's also discuss the people who are trying their best to let go, trying their best to forgive, trying their best to apologize. You can do it. And this is the moment to make that decision. Make that decision today. Send that message that you've always been wanting to send that person. Give yourself the props that you've been having trouble realizing. All that you've been doing for yourself, all that you've been doing for your family. It's time for you to pat yourself in the back. It's time for you to look up, thank God, for where you are today, for all you have today, for those who are surrounding you today, for those who are not surrounding you today, for everything that you've been receiving all along, all the way from the good and the bad, because there's been lessons in both. There's a reason why you are where you are today, mentally and physically, financially, spiritually, emotionally. There's a reason, because of your past. Is there something holding you back? Is there something holding you back? Now, with everything that you've been receiving, Is it okay for you to get comfortable right now? Never. Never think like you have full control of every situation. You do. But to the point where you have to get comfortable, no. You always have to continue fighting, continue pushing for those goals. You know, okay, I've done so much for me. I've done so much for my family. I've done so much, but there's never enough. There's never so much. It's infinite when it comes to that. Because the more you do, the more people would be blessed. The more you do, there's going to be people that will give you the recognition, that will give you the you know, that they'll go ahead and tell you, wow, you know, you are amazing. But you don't need anyone to tell you that. You deep down inside know it. Most of us have had trouble recognizing that. We don't need it. We don't have to hear it from someone else. You yourself know by your actions. You yourself know, and it's like something that I've been thinking about for the past few weeks. There's people that bless others, and not criticizing. You know, people do it on camera, right? There's a lot of people that do it on camera. Like, let's say, oh, I'm helping this person out, and they'll go ahead and put him on blast. They'll go ahead and like make a footage of it. Now, in most cases, I feel like it's okay to make that footage, because I don't think you're doing anything wrong by doing that. You're actually showing people the different ways that you can bless others. It doesn't always have to be material. It doesn't always have to be, you know, giving away money. But look at what we're doing in this platform. The discussions that we're having. This is worth more than money, because what does it impacts? Not your pockets, right? Your mind, your heart.
Yeah.
What is it doing when you're listening to these topics, this type of content? You're renewing whatever it is that you're feeling inside. You're realizing the potential that you have. I'm realizing the potential that I have. I'm realizing that I've been holding myself back because of fear, because of people that I had around me, because of, you know, me encountering people that really I should have, you know, stayed away from. I was in the type of environments that I should have never been in. But do I regret it? I do not, because there's a reason why I've learned so many lessons being in it. There's some people who never come out of it. They're suffering from addiction. Some people are not even here because of homicide, because of suicide, because of the people that we've had around, the environments that we've been in, what we've been consuming, the influences, addictions, and the list just keeps going. So why not be thankful today? Grateful. And while we do that, make someone's life better tomorrow. But starting with us. It starts with us. If we can't take care of ourselves, we won't be able to take care of anyone else. And no one, it's very rare for someone to assist, to come just out of nowhere to take you out of a problem, or to take you out of that feeling that you have, or those dark moments, those dark thoughts. It's very rare. So we really have to think about that.
There's actually two words that have been mentioned this evening that right now, what you mentioning, like tomorrow can be different, you know, all these different things, right? It's actually perfect, like it's timely. Because I want you guys to realize that the word faith, you're essentially taking a risk. I mean, comprehend that, right? Because it's very rare to gain anything in this world without taking a risk. In order to believe that tomorrow is going to be different, you have to take a risk. right? You have to take a risk. The word itself says faith shows the reality of what we hope for. It's the evidence of things we cannot see, right? So in other words, I'm walking in faith because I believe the reality that's going to be ahead of me, right? And like that faith that I have is the evidence of the things that I can't see. Like I'm believing that this is going to be the case. So if you believe that, like, you know, if you're like, you know what, I'm believing that I can get free from drugs. I'm believing that I can get free from my addiction, whatever kind of addiction you have, alcohol, drugs, porn, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. I believe that I can be a better parent. I believe that I can have a relationship with Christ, and He can help me to correct all these different areas. When you go and you say, like, I believe that I can do that, that's you walking in faith. You're taking a risk. And the thing is that, believe me, it's not unsurprising for you to hear that you can't do it, for you to get that doubt, right? And give you guys a great example. Right after that verse, God goes and He brings up, it's by faith that Abel brought a more acceptable offering to God than his brother Cain did. Now, if you know the story of Cain and Abel, Cain kills Abel, his own brother. Now you got to think, that's kind of messed up. Like, I'm believing in my faith that I'm going to give you a better offering, and what happens is I end up dying as a result. That looks like a negative. But the thing is, the offering, the great offering that Abel gave to God is still talked about to this day. So it's like that became eternal. You know what I'm saying? That's how much God valued it. That was now an eternal thing. You want to think that, you want to think about people being crazy, like, oh, you're crazy. You're never gonna get off your addiction. You're never gonna be able to stop doing X, Y, Z. Well, when God told Noah to build an ark, everybody thought he was crazy. People had never seen a flood before in their life. So what the heck's this dude doing building a boat, a giant boat? He had the faith that what God was telling him wasn't crazy, that he could do that he needed to do that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. When I'm believing that God says that that I need to do this in my life, I'm taking the risk. While everybody's telling me that I'm wrong, that I'm crazy, that I'm this, that I'm that, I'm choosing to take the risk about what God told me to do, about what God has for a purpose for me, what God is saying about my life, that I can do this, that I can break my addiction, that I can be a better parent, that I can be a better spouse, that I can be a better coworker, that I can be a better child to God, that I can have a better relationship with Him. All these different things, I'm taking the risk. And everybody's going to tell me that I'm wrong, that I'm crazy. Well, I'm telling you this much. No one went through that for years. I guarantee you, when he was on that boat and everybody was dying in the flood, he ain't look so crazy anymore, right? You know what I'm saying? But that was a risk. He had to take a risk.
That's what life is all about.
Abraham obeyed God when God told him, leave home, go somewhere else. Abraham had it all with his family, but he obeyed God and left everything behind to go seek an inheritance that God had for him. And Abraham is known as the father of, like, the nations. After not being able to have kids, pretty much 100 years old, not able to have kids. And everything flowed from there. You know what I'm saying? But it was by faith. By faith. All of this was by faith, taking a risk. Right now, you just ended up saying something that was so key. It's like you have an opportunity for a better tomorrow with that. Why are a lot of us not taking the opportunity? You know what it is? Taking a risk and being wrong, that's a scary thing. That's real frightening. Especially, you already know how the enemy works. He'll use everybody around you to make you think about how you might be wrong, how you're doing this wrong, how you need to go back to doing, your old life because your old life was better. I mean, you didn't have these problems. You might as well just go back to smoking your weed, to drinking your alcohol all day, whatever it is, You don't want to take the risk because you're afraid you might be wrong. But God's telling you, take the risk, because taking the risk is having faith. And when you have faith, the very word says it's impossible to please God without faith. Anyone who wants to come to him must also believe that God exists and he rewards those who seek him. Same way he says you don't receive because you don't ask. God says it in his word. You ask not, so you don't receive. Why don't we ask? We don't have the faith. We're not willing to take the risk. It's a risk to give it to God. Like you said, let go and let God. Think about that. Let go and let God. Let go and let God do it. It's a risk for you to give it to him. Because what if you let go and he doesn't do anything? And everybody's telling you, why did you let go? Why don't you do it yourself? It's not telling you to be lazy. That's a big difference. It's not telling you just, hey, I'm just going to chill in my bed all day, smoke all day, drink all day, play my games all day, do all these things all day. I'm just going to do it. No, that's not what it's about. It's let it go and give it to God. Believe that he's going to take care of it. Believe that he's going to give you the ideas. Believe that he's going to give you the direction for your purpose, the calling that you have. Because a lot of times we might say, oh, what if I work? I'll bless God with my money. I'll bless God with this. I'll bless God with that. God doesn't need anything from you. If you believe God needs something from you, you might have a little bit of a God complex yourself. You might be thinking you God. He doesn't need that. He doesn't need you. He doesn't need anything. But he wants to bless you. He wants you to be prospered. He wants you to live a life that's pleasing to him, where he can pour out those blessings to you. Where you're not perfect and every day is not perfect, but you trust in him, and all the things that come against you, he turns around for your good. Maybe not in that moment, but at some point. And not only does he turn it for the good of those who love him, but it becomes a testimony to build up everybody else that's around you, because they have no explanation, because they saw that you couldn't do it yourself. Big difference. Absolutely huge difference. That's your better tomorrow. But are you willing to take the risk? Are you willing to have the faith that he'll do it? And a lot of us, we can't let it go because we want to do it ourselves. I tried. I got tired. I couldn't do it. Don't get me wrong, I had a lot of success trying to do it on my own. But there got a point where Leslie brought up a great point earlier. God could take it away. That's where what was just written right now. You got to be obedient to his word. Don't be obedient. Believe me, there can come the day where he takes it all away. Absolutely, he could. And he's not taking it away to punish you. He's taking it away because he needs you to realize who he is. He wants the relationship with you. And sometimes in order to do that, he has to take it away. But do you realize that you have the opportunity where he doesn't have to take it away? He can, like kind of like the trees that have to be pruned, like take the stuff that doesn't work for you so that your nutrients are not going to the parts that are already dying off. Let me cut it off. Think about that with like a tree, right? You got a tree, goes through, I know like we had a winter that we weren't we had cold weather that we weren't expecting here in Texas, right? And that caused a number of different trees here where the tree was good overall, but it caused certain branches to die, right? To like start to die off. And the whole branch isn't dead, but what happens when we weren't like taking care of that tree? The nutrients to that tree still start to go to that area, right? But that causes those areas to get nutrients where the whole tree can die. Like, if you think about it, if nutrients are going to parts that are already dying off, the whole tree can die. The whole tree can start to rot to the point where eventually it's going to fall on my house. And little by little, branches might start falling off with a strong wind. You know, it starts with leaves and it starts with branches, and then things start hitting your window and they start breaking stuff. There will get a point where the whole thing rots and it falls on your house and breaks down. There's a lot of us that have a lot of things in our life that are like parts that are just bad, that have just gone bad, and either bring that disease into other areas of our life or bring the blessings, and you're wasting it away. It's like you think that you're holding on to this blessing. In reality, though, that's the part that God wants to take away, and you are taking in all the blessings that God has you, but you start directing it to the wrong area. This is the area over here that needs the resources that God's giving you, but you're giving it to the dead thing that God wants you to just take it out. Sorry. You know, to go ahead and take it out. And we don't do that because we want to hold on. We don't want to let go and let God. We want to hold on. And God's like, yo, I'm trying to cut that though. I'm trying to cut that area.
I'm still forcing it.
And we're still forcing it.
Are you guys having trouble? The same. You're seeing the same thing, right? Problems with the service. It happened again.
Always when God has something powerful, right?
I had a feeling he was going to join from the other account.
Yeah, always when God has something powerful. I was in the middle of giving you that, and it says somebody was trying to log in with my account.
Again.
It never fails.
This is the third time.
Third time.
Wow.
Third time. But where I was going with it was God wants to cut certain things, and we holding on. And those things are doing us harm to the point it can destroy you. You know what I'm saying? All because you don't want to listen to God and just let it go. Just let it go. Let it go. Stop holding on. For what? That's not the purpose that he has for you. That's not what he wants for your life. He's not even looking for that. He wants something better. You know what I'm saying? But eventually, it might get to the point where he has to rip it out entirely in order to start new. To start with him as the base of what he wants to make and grow it up. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's got to be like that. Sometimes it has to be like that. But you have the option to cut off just some branches. You got the option to cut off just some tree trunks. Like some minor tree parts of the tree, some minor stumps. You have to make the decision. He's not gonna make the decision for you. You got to make the decision. You know what I'm saying? But if he wants to really make it, because remember, God's going to make everything work for his good no matter what. So if you don't do it, and what he needs you to do needs to be done in order for his will to be done, you best believe if you ain't do it yourself, he's going to tear it down at some point because you didn't get the point. Believe that. Believe that. I heard something real great, bro, a few days ago, where somebody said, if you realize there were some of the greatest things that ever happened, that God ever did, he had to remove somebody from the situation. Like, he had to let this mentor die. He needed to have this person die. He needed to take this away in order for his greatness to be shown. I think the greatest example of that, the absolute greatest one, is, Jesus being God could have rocked with the disciples for the rest of their lives. You want to know where the disciples messed up? And a lot of people don't know this. If you're curious, you can read it in the Word. They saw miracles. They could see the miracle today, and they'd be like, oh, it's true, you're the Son of God. And a few weeks later, something else would happen. God save it. Jesus save us. What are you doing? Oh my God, it's true. You're the Son of God. They would doubt. They would forget. The very word itself says that right near the end, before Jesus left, after he died, but before he left completely and had the Holy Spirit come down, they still doubted. And it wasn't until he came back to life, until he was resurrected, that they were like, oh my God, it's true. You're God. Bruh, what about all the other times that you told me that? I mean, how silly does that sound? They still were not able to do what God called them to do, to walk in the power that they were going to have, to walk in the blessing, in the authority of God, for God's will to be done through their lives, until Jesus himself had to leave. Because he had to leave in order for the Holy Spirit to come down, for them to be able to say, we don't have Jesus anymore. Here, where I can see him, we now have to walk by faith. And when they did that, they were able to start doing miracles that even Jesus himself ain't do. So what God, I think, wants to tell a lot of people tonight is, you're being told that tomorrow can be different, that your situation can be different, that all these things can be different, that you have a greater purpose than what you have, that you can be a better parent than what you think, that you can be a better partner or spouse, that you can have a real relationship with him, that you have authority, that you have power, that you have all these things. But you have to take the risk. And you have to walk that direction. And if it's God's purpose, I'm going to tell you, you can see what he's going to do if he gives you the direction. But if you're not listening, there will come a point in which, if it's part of his purpose, if that's what's going to make him be glorified, he's going to rip it out. And you're going to lose it anyway. You in a bad relationship? You're in a relationship that you know that God doesn't want you to be in? Whether it's a love kind of relationship, whether it's a friendship, you know you need to let it go and you won't let it go. Believe me, if you don't let it go, it's going to be taken away for you at some point. You know that you need to stop doing your drugs. You know that you need to stop drinking your alcohol, because it's just like, you don't never go down the right road when that happens for you. And you're not letting it go. There might be the day in which you encounter a difficult situation that you really go down the wrong road. It could be a DUI. It could be you get into the wrong argument with the wrong person, all because you were drinking. You could It could be a lot of stuff. It could be a lot of different stuff. Don't let that be the situation that you have to encounter for it to forcefully have to be taken away. You know, you want to hold on to your kids and not let them grow. You want to control their lives because you think what's best. And you ain't asking God for direction on that, but you holding on. Yo, those kids might grow up to be grown-ups and go do their own life, and you're going to be hurt. And guess what? Because you didn't let them be guided the right way, because you wanted to hold on to everything, when they out there, they might walk the wrong road because you ain't teach them right.
That's right.
And those kids could be taken from you. They can lose their life because they were now seeking something else, and they thought somebody else, oh, this spouse that I got, this is going to be the right one, even though the spouse is an abusive spouse. But they believe that that's love, somebody controlling them. And they stay in that relationship to the point of death. I mean, ask God for the direction, but take the risk, because he wants the best for you. You just got to believe him, and he'll make that work for your good, because all of us are supposed to be operating in much more authority and much more power and much more blessing than what we're living in right now. But we don't have that faith. We're not willing to take that risk, not to that level. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. God wants more for you, for real. I think we're going to see that.
Amen. Amen. Let's see if we missed. We went pretty deep today. Once again, today's message was strong. Again, I love how we started. We appreciate everyone that's with us, that joined us. It really means a lot to us. I see Corinne said, God sure did take a so-called friend out of my life. That's a true blessing. And I'm sure you're going to see a lot happening after that. Maybe there's going to be a lot more that you're going to realize because of that removal. So let's see. But yeah, today was definitely a blessing. I just want you guys to drop a heart, man. Just drop a heart if you appreciate, everything that was spoken, everything we've been talking on a weekly basis. We're on every Thursday. We try not to miss a week. We've been working really hard on that. With everything we got going on, it's really important for us to connect. Look at that. Corinne did see a lot happening.
Amen.
I'm glad, Corinne. Amen to that. I'm glad. Let me go ahead and drop hearts for you guys as well. As a must. And I think we're good for today, Big Bro. I think we're good.
I think so. Again, before we let y'all go, just remember, you guys always have the opportunity to hop on.
Yes.
Always have the opportunity to drop a comment. Actually join us if you want. If you feel you have something to say, something you want to add. If you have a testimony, we encourage that.
We encourage that. Yeah.
Again, remember, this platform is to build people up. So sometimes that means that if you're going through it, you might need to hit us up. And the DMs are always there. You guys can always drop us a message, hit us in the DM, drop a message here. I know that there's a little question mark icon there, for a lot of people to be able to drop it in private during the actual session itself if you need to. So all that stuff, remember, the door is always open. This is something that God has been calling us to do. Thank God we've been able to take the risk and walk in faith, and we've been able to see the fruit. What God wanted to do is blessed a lot of lives, and we're continuing to see that every single week. Again, if you feel that you need to reach out to us because there's something that's heavy on you, you need that prayer, you need to have that talk, whatever it is, the door is always open. Just drop the message. We're there to be able to do that, because we know that the same way that you know, that we would want God to be able to listen at all times, and really be there at all times, he calls us to be able to do that. So definitely you always want to bring it to God, but if you feel like, okay, well, God is probably putting these people here because he's going to speak to my life through them, drop it, you know, drop that DM, hit us up, and we will be there to listen. And I'm sure that God will direct us in terms of what you need to hear, you know, from him, because we don't care to talk from our own thing to build you up. We cannot build you up. I hate to bring that to you. We can't build you up, but we can have God operate and lead you to it, you know, through us. We want to be obedient to that. The same way that we don't want to just pick a name for the platform because we believe it is going to be God's name that's going to bring people in. It's the same thing. We only want to know what he wants to say about your situation, what he wants to do to build you up. So definitely hit us up and we will build you up that way. But I believe that God is going to do great things. So just take that risk. Just take that risk, because taking that risk means that you have faith that if you let it go, that you're going to let him do what he wants to do in your life.
And the same way we encourage everyone to join us on the video, you know, if you feel comfortable. We love the fact that you guys do engage in the chat, which is amazing. I did forget to mention on this live, which I mentioned it on every other live, there's an option in the bottom right corner, which is that bubble with the question mark. If there's ever something you want to put out or you want discussed, or there's a question and, you know, you don't want to put your name out there, you can just select that option. Type it in. I'll be able to read it out. Obviously, I won't say any names, and you know we'll be able to discuss it or answer that question. You know, whatever your request is, we'll be more than happy to do so. You know, again, we'll keep that private. We're on every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 p.m. Central Time, and 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time, West Coast. Thank you guys for joining us. Seriously, everyone who's our regular on a weekly basis. Welcome to those who, you know, been here for the first time. We are on live every Thursday now. If you don't have any time to join us on the live, when this live ends, it goes straight to YouTube. And I also want to thank those who are watching live on Facebook. I want to thank those who are watching live on YouTube as well. Really, really appreciate you guys. I appreciate you all. We will see you next week. Hoping to see you next week, and hope that you guys have a good rest of the week. Enjoy your weekend. And just remember, any problems that you may have or experience is temporary. Patience is a virtue, and faith is the substance. Love you guys. Love you guys. All right. Have a good night.
Much love to everybody.
Definitely.
God bless you.